So in the Metro Detroit area, there's still like over 130,000 people that have to boil their water. Over this past weekend, it was like almost 1 million people because of the amount of problems that happened with that water main, the thing that broke. Well, it's caused for issues like with restaurants. Some of these restaurants that are still in these areas are having issues because they, can't provide a lot of the services that they normally would do without using bottled water, and the boiling of the water is taking too long. It's like too long of a process. It's interesting, though. I just read something wild with that said that if you are someone that is a regular, I'll just have water drinker, that it's safer to actually have one of their other beverages than the water.
From any restaurant?
From any restaurant, yes. And they used bigger cities for this one. So they used New York, Los Angeles, Chicago as some of their examples.
I always get restaurant water.
They tested the water at restaurants, and they found that there is a higher level of bacteria in the water than should be consumed by humans. In many cases, it's not just because it's their water. Their water was probably fine. It's the things that they put their water in that may not be as clean. So a lot of times, like I'll see this when I'll go into a restaurant and I'll see them walk around with the pitcher of water. And in many cases, it had been sitting there for such a long period of time that they say that things get into it.
Plus, I'm a bar seater. I like to sit at the bar and eat. So I see how little they clean when they recycle the glasses around, or when they're serving and I see the busboy like put his thumb in the glass of water. It's like, I just assume, well, it's good for my gut.
Yeah.
Keep that immunity
But
high.
would that be the case then with anything? Like with a wine glass, with a cocktail glass, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, the water, what Mojo's saying is the pitcher sits all day.
Yeah. Well, it's the pitcher that sits all day. And that's not necessarily the glass. I mean, the glasses are probably clean. I'm sure that they have like the health department look at that. Sometimes they don't have the pitchers cleaned, or they leave it sitting around for a period of time. And so it's just sitting out. Where if you're getting a normal drink, like say, for instance, you get a pop out of the gun, you're getting the pop out of the gun, whatever that has there. Or you're drinking alcohol. If you're drinking a glass of wine, it's in the bottle. And they usually cork the bottle probably afterwards.
This makes me mad because I am always just like a tap water's fine. Mm-hmm. If you ever go anywhere and they ask you like what kind of water you want or whatever for going to a little bit of a nicer restaurant, I always just say tap water. And Wes, my boyfriend, he likes bubbly water. And I'm like, who do you think you are that you're going to get the bubbly water? But it comes out in a bottle. And now he's smart.
Yeah, he's doing it.
He's the smart one.
You ever go to a place and you ask for that, and then they start serving the table that, and next thing you know, you look at your bill, and your bill has more price of water than it would of other beverages? Like if you go to some of those like steak places and stuff like that are some of the nicer steak places, that what is it called? Not Perrier, but what's the other brand that's the big one? It's in the green bottle too. But that's expensive shit. So
Pellegrino.
That's it. Yeah, Pellegrino. Okay, so this one's interesting. Dating and age. What's the most that you should differ in age of dating someone? And this is from the Online Dating for Dummies book. They studied dating over the years, and they found that there is actually an age span that is like the end-all be-all. Like if you go past it, you're probably going to run into some problems. And I'll give you some examples of things that could become problems. Taste in music, food, entertainment, how active you want to be, how inactive you want to be, things that you want to face as far as family issues, whether it be extended family or your immediate family. What is the absolute like cutoff as far as age is concerned?
I'm taking a guess at this, and I'm going to say 12 years.
Okay. Spike, Ellen also on this. Reese, if you would like to participate. I know you're working cameras. Mike, I don't know if he's there.
Yeah.
Oh, you're there. Okay. What do you guys else think? Spike, would you always
kind of right around Shannon's, like somewhere around 12 to 15 years, where after that, I feel like you start to have a lot less in common.
Actually, I have to say 13 years because my dad and my stepmom are 13 years apart. I don't want them to get mad.
Ellen,
so 14 years.
What's the biggest age gap you would have, Ellen?
10.
10 years?
Mm-hmm.
Mike, what would you do?
I was going to say 10 because I feel like that's when things change. Like
okay.
you have differences.
Reese?
A lot of things.
I would say 20.
20 years.
Oh, he's still looking for that MILF.
We love cougars.
How old is Ellen's mom? Did you ask her?
Hey, that's a great
More than
question.
20 years older than me.
And she's taken, by the way.
The answer is 10 years.
Oh.
I'm so smart and so good at dating. Clearly.
According to Online Dating for Dummies, a book by Michael Lasky, anytime you go more than 10 years, complication starts in your marriage or relationship that it will cause for issues. He actually said that the problem not necessarily just deals with the two of you. It deals with other people bringing in problems from the relationship, like other, family members bringing those problems in.
I only said 10 years because I wouldn't go beyond 10 years, I don't think.
I did date somebody who was, I think, 10 years older than me.
Well, it depends
Maybe a
on
little
where
more.
you are
It
in your
was-
life, too. Like
How
if
old
you're
were you?
younger or older. Because there's
Right.
that's why I think that it
Right.
depends. Like they say there's that dating age rule where it's half your age plus 7 is the acceptable difference in society. So
Which would be how many years?
Well, they say, okay, so if you're 21, then it would be 11 plus 7, 18 years would be the big difference. So I don't know. That's a big wider gap than any of us said, though.
You know who it causes more problems for? They say it causes more problems for the older person in the relationship than the younger person.
Mm-hmm.
So the person that is the older one in the relationship ends up having more problems because they start feeling issues as far as their younger spouse possibly
Wanting somebody else
wanting
closer
somebody
to their
else,
age.
yeah. And especially when they get older on that one.
I mean, my girlfriend and I have a 14-year age difference, but like when we started dating, I realized she didn't. Like my references weren't going over her head. I think because she was raised by her dad as like an adult man. Like I don't know how to explain that, but she watched a lot of the same pop culture I watched growing up, like older movies, and she had a great reference point for 80s movies, even though she was born in the 80s. So it didn't really bother us much. And then milestones, we have the same view on like neither of us want more children. Neither of us are in any exciting rush to get married or anything like that.
I think you guys are at a good point in your life for that. Like if she was 21, it would be, and you were 14 years older than her, it'd be totally different.
Wait,
Yeah.
so you were like taking driver's ed and she was just being born?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Do you ever think about that? Like, do you think about like when you were in college that
Once in a
she
while.
was like she didn't even have hair down there yet?
Well, that's
well, I
weird.
didn't think of that. You're being creepy. But no,
I'm
I think
being
about it
creepy.
sometimes when I'm talking about things and I'm like, oh, like Shannon was talking about her high school reunion the other day, and I was like, oh yeah, like my high school. I was trying to think, and I'm like, yeah, she was born when I was in high school.
You got to bring
Or
her
not
back
yet.
to your
No,
high school
she was
reunion.
born when I was in junior high.
You got to bring her to your high school
I've
reunion.
never
'cause
been
you gotta
to a high
show
school
you got to
reunion.
show her off, man. You got to.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm not dating her to feel young about myself or feel like the age thing didn't come up until I think after we were on our. I mean, we talked about it on our first date.
When
but
do you feel old with her?
when I talk about music and being at concerts and like things were just different when we were kids. When we were in like you and I, Mojo, in middle school, we still like we just got cable. And now there's 7,000 streaming services and there's so many options for entertainment.
I think that the part that would be concerning to me would be making a reference to something, and I bet you Meg's pretty good at like faking it.
No,
Like,
she calls me
oh,
out.
she
all the
does
time.
call
Oh,
you
yeah,
out?
Yeah, depends on what it is.
Like, is it weird that your daughters probably have more of a reference to her childhood than you probably do to her childhood?
She's kind of right in the middle. Like she's right in the middle of me and my daughters.
Like anytime Megan brings up
Maybe
stories
music.
on the show, like our Megan does, like she'll bring up like something from her childhood.
Mhm.
I'll sit there and I go, "What the fuck is she talking about?" I have no clue.
Well,
You know?
it's so funny because all her references I understand, but sometimes I'll do references and I forget, oh yeah, she always had cell phones in her life. We had an era before cell phones.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, like pre-internet.
Sex. Let's move on to sex here right now. If you think sex is about sweet talk, here's news for you. A Georgia State University study found that couples who quarrel about sex have it more often than couples who don't. Why? Fighting about your love life shows that it really matters to you, which fosters more intimacy and probably leads for more sexual activity because you end up having more sex by bringing up the issue of not having sex. That's kind of an interesting thing. I never would have thought about that. So it's the couples that sit there and say that they don't have sex that much that are truly probably having more sex than the people who sit there and claim that they have sex all the time.
I don't love that statistic, though, because then you're basically saying that you're being guilted into having sex.
Yeah.
If you're having it because you're having a conversation about, how little you're having, right? It's like pity sex.
But haven't you ever noticed though that there are people that will sit there and claim, "Oh, we fuck all the time," like,
and then you find out it's really like,
oh, I never believe those people. The more they brag openly about and have to talk about it, the less they do it.
Yeah, like the guy. It's always the guy that I got a big dick, and the guy's got the small dick, But it's always the opposite of usually what it is. Like I used to always say this to my kids all the time growing up, like when they would talk about friends of theirs, they have this and they have that. And I'll be like, they have probably more problems than you got to deal with in your life. They're just sitting there bragging about the whole thing. So it's usually the opposite of that one.